Hi, this is Rani from Live a Rebel Life. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my very good friend, Scott Ferguson. Let's level up, people.
Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. It is Scott Ferguson, and I had a super high energy, fired up, leveled up conversation with my good friend, Rani MacInnes, introduced to me by the awesome sauce, Mark McWhinney. Both of them are Canadians from north of the border. Mark's a very good friend of mine, somebody I respect immensely. And he's like, you have to talk to my good friend, Rani. And I'm like, okay, if you say so, absolutely. And I'm so glad he put us in touch. She is an amazing woman, beautiful inside and out. She has a company, Live a Rebel Life, and there's a lot of women out there that are dealing with ageism and really just kind of getting stuck. And that's her niche. That's her people. Like, if a woman, please, in the midlife time, please share this with them. Let them hear this interview, because she drops serious knowledge nuggets that might make them want to have like a really free conversation with, I did say free, a free initial conversation with my good friend Rani. So please, like, break out your notebooks. If you're a man, break out your notebooks to learn how to work with women that are either menopausal or kind of on their way there, or dealing with the women's challenges, because I learned so much on how to like work with my Susan on that. And also, if you're a woman, like, just please reach out to us. And I would love to make that warm introduction to Rani for you. So without further ado, here's my really good friend, Rani MacInnes from Live a Rebel Life. Let's level up. The Shine Today podcast varsity squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I am super stoked to bring you this awesome conversation with my good friend Rani MacInnes. And we got introduced by M Squared, Mr. Mark McWhinney from the Coaching Jungle. And Rani and I kind of played a little phone tag, or I guess you could say Zoom tag or something, until we actually sat down. We spoke about a month or so ago, and we just hit it off, both being coaches, both really wanting to lean into people and get them to lean into their ultimate human potential. But Rani is a seasoned entrepreneur, has run several small businesses, including an award-winning brick-and-mortar boutique. At Live a Rebel Life, she works with women in midlife on career transitions, workplace reentry, pivots, or I like to say shifts, or shivets. We can call it shivets, and more, with humor and heart. And Rani, thank you so much for coming on. And it's just so blessed to actually have you on the mic, rocking it with you. And please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast varsity squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
I would say my favorite color is red.
Red, okay.
Because it's bold.
Yes.
And it's bright.
Yes.
And colors of flowers when they're red are stunning. I love red. Yeah.
Without a doubt. Yeah. I like purple because it's like, I like the blue because I like to be chill, but then there's a red side of me that kind of comes out. So it kind of
yeah.
So, but no,
I'm a Taurus. I'm a Taurus, the bull. So maybe that's part of it too. The red. I don't know.
Love it. I love it. That's right. April. It's Taurus time. Okay.
Yep.
So let's get kind of to the roots a little bit.
Okay.
Because I know that you're helping ladies in the midlife really lean into their ultimate human potential, to really grasp on and know that there's a whole second act to go. But like, I know that you don't look old enough to be in your second act. Okay. But like, let's get to the roots, like where we started, kind of coming up to where now you're really pouring into people.
So you're asking kind of what I feel about being in midlife?
No, just give me your story. Come on.
My story.
Tell me a little bit about,
kind
of coming up.
Okay, yeah. So I've had many different, like you said, acts in my life. I did an undergrad in anthropology, archaeology, and museum studies. I worked 10 years in the nonprofit. I flew to Asia, was a teacher in Japan.
All that.
I had an awesome time with that. I came back, this will age me, just as this thing called the internet was taking off. It was like, what the heck is this thing? The internet. So I went back and I did a master's degree in digital publishing, which threw me right into the beginning of website development. Ooh. So I worked for a lot of large digital companies, small to begin with because it was the beginning, but they grew very fast. Worked with large clients like Nike and Nintendo, building big websites. I was a senior producer for CBC, which is a big national radio station here. And then I decided to have kids late in life. I met this guy and I was older And then it was like, oh, let's try to have kids.
Okay.
So once we did that, everything changed. And I no longer wanted to work like I used to work.
Right.
But I still wanted to use my head. So that's when it kind of like threw me into sort of the entrepreneurial world where I started creating companies. Yeah.
And you had a brick and mortar company as well?
I did, yeah. So I started off with like the first company I did was a dog services company. I get retrained to
Really?
be a dog trainer, yeah. So I was a dog trainer and I incorporated my company between two provinces. I had vans and employees and all this kind of cool stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a whole story onto itself. And then I kind of went into flowers. I wanted to be a florist.
Really?
So yeah, I always wanted to play with flowers. There comes the red again.
Yeah.
So I retrained myself as a florist and I opened up a brick and mortar flower shop, which I ran for about 5 or 6 years. And yeah, shot that out of the park. It was awesome.
Okay.
And I closed that down just before COVID, which was great timing
Oh, perfect
because the
timing.
the price of flowers just went
Through
skyrocketed.
the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So coaching, how did we kind of move into that arena then? Because obviously all this travel experiences really kind of got you ready. Because me being a real estate broker and investor for so long, it's like if I was showing you and your hubby a house, it's like not only am I, a realtor, but I'm a marriage counselor. I'm sometimes a babysitter with their kids. So
Yeah.
it parlayed into coaching, right?
Yeah.
Perfectly, right? My coach is like, "You're ready to coach." I'm like, "What are you talking about? What's a coach?" She's like,
Yeah.
"What I've been doing for you since 1999," and I still have her, right?
Yeah.
So, what was it that really had you lean into the coaching world? Which, thank gosh, you did that because you're
Oh,
great.
thank you. Awesome. I think because for my whole life, I think that's just been a natural part of who I am,
Okay,
actually. I think that I've always coached people. I was always that go-to person that people would come to ask me questions. As a matter of fact, when I had my flower shop, you remember the old show called Cheers? Do you remember
oh
that show,
yeah,
Cheers? Yeah, okay. So and
Norm,
everybody,
right?
yeah, Norm, everybody would sit at the bar. Yeah, so that's what my flower shop became. It became kind of like a mini coaching place. People would just come in and shoot the beep, beep, right. They would just come and sit with me
Yeah,
and talk. And so I think it's a natural kind of progression that I've always done it. So after I closed my flower shop, I went and started taking some courses to become a coach because
okay.
I needed a little bit more background in that. And then COVID hit. And so that kind of put the kibosh on things. And I actually segued from the beginning of my coaching kind of education into working at a hospice. So I actually went and worked at a hospice for 2 years as I've got all
Right.
sorts of different things here. So I worked for hospice, learned lots about death, dying, grieving, and bereavement. And then I just came, and concurrently, as I was doing that, I was coaching still.
Oh,
So I still had Live a Rebel Life, and I was doing that, but it was a little bit off the side. And
okay.
then in the fall of last year, I left the hospice and started this full time. So I've been full on since then.
Got it. And what does
Yeah.
live a rebel life mean?
Live a rebel life means you just got to live large. You've got to not sit down and play by the rules. You can create what you want to create. You do not have to sit in a little box and play by the rules. Yeah.
Love it.
So, yeah.
So, what do you think then makes a great coach?
Oh, listening,
Okay.
right? Listening, heart. I say experience, and yet that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with age. I think
Okay.
it's life experience, right? So I don't want to
Sure.
say experience as in, oh, you have to be a certain age to be a
Right.
coach.
Right.
But I
Right.
do think that if you have a variety of different experiences in your life, I
Sure.
think that you can bring that to the table. Yeah. But the biggest, I think, is heart and listening.
Right.
Great question.
And
Yeah.
at our age, right? Our ages,
Mhm.
it's like we're kind of like the silverbacks, right? It's like we're not young, right? Where we're
Yeah.
like, but we're not old, right? We're like,
Yeah.
okay, but we're just kind of there, which I get approached a lot. I mean, granted, I'm blessed to coach who I coach, but it's like people will still come up because I are both great listeners. I gotta ask you, are you a coach or a consultant or a coach sultan or which way do you lean more?
Coach.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Full
gotcha.
on coach. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
what is your belief then in coaching versus trying to give advice? Like what is your kind of
Um,
formula for that?
Yeah, it's really tricky. Working with women in midlife, I find that often as I'm coaching and I'm listening and I'm asking questions and trying to dig in, often they want advice. They want to hear what I want to say to them. And I probably have to be pushed quite a bit to actually start offering my advice,
Me
because
too.
that's
Yeah.
my story, right?
Right.
That has to do with me. That does not have to do with the other person. What I have to say is just for me. So I
Right.
have to ask them the right questions and nurture that so that they can figure out their own
Love
answer. So
that.
advice is yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, and then that's the thing with my clients. Like, Ferg, what should I do when I first start working with them? I'm like, listen, everyone knows what they want. They just don't know how to
Yeah.
talk themselves into it, right?
Mm,
So, and
hmm.
everyone to live a life of options and not obligations, it's like there's certain things that you've got to answer for yourself,
Yeah.
right? And it's in like what I'll do sometimes, Ronnie, is if I'm blessed to coach somebody here in Palm Beach, I sit in their car with them. One, I want to see how they keep their car because you can really kind of see how they live their life, the way they keep their car, right?
Yeah.
But secondly, I put them in the driver's seat and I'm like, listen, this rearview mirror here, it's small for a reason. That's your past. That's
Hmm.
where things have
Hmm.
happened. That's where therapy happens. Like, I'm not a
Yeah.
therapist. This
Yeah.
big windshield is here and it can be big and scary. But ever since 2011 or so, they've been putting this thing on the console called the GPS. That's what I am. It's like I can't
Mm.
buckle your seatbelt if you so choose to start the car and drive you anywhere. But if you get stuck, you plug it in and we can work together to get there, right? But I
Mm.
can't do the work. So I love that you're coaching because I've tried to give advice before and they'll come back and be like, Fergie, that was stupid. Why'd you tell me to do that? But if they do it, they're going to see it through, right? I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Well,
So
I've had clients who've actually said to me, "Could you just tell me what I
right,
need to do? Can you
right.
just tell me, please,
How do you
Randy?" And
respond to that, Ranny?
well, I take a deep breath. Usually I have a little bit of a laugh
Yeah.
and I say, I could tell you, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to, because this is your journey. This is your life.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
let's work on that. And 10 times out of 10 they go, right.
Yeah. It's your
And then we
story to
keep
tell,
working.
right?
Yeah, it's your story. Yeah.
Yeah. You said
Yeah.
it a little bit earlier in our conversation. It's like you're trying to tell someone else's story. It's like, and then does it become authentic? I love it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so if you're in a discovery conversation, make sure you're the right horse for the course, the right coach,
Yeah.
right? What do you have as kind of a little secret sauce, if you don't mind sharing, to make me help them initial kind of like identify that initial blind spot?
You mean if they're coachable for me? Is that what you
Right. If
mean?
they're coming to you to make sure you're the right fit, but like maybe you're just kind of asking those questions. Is there something that you use that's maybe unique or something that helped them find that blind spot that they're sitting on?
I think a big part of it is spending a little bit of time talking to them to see if they're open for change.
Okay.
Because if they're not open, if they're truly, I mean, and being stuck is a beautiful thing because it's an opportunity. But I think that if they're not open and if they're rigid and they're not interested in kind of exploring something else, I have a little bit of alarm that kind of goes off.
Sure.
I'm thinking, okay, are they going to be able to move forward? Are they able to do that? So not that I would not work with that person necessarily, it just might be a longer burn.
Right. Love it. So
Mhm,
maybe
mhm.
you're in this discovery conversation still. Is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
Hmm. I have never had a client ask me why I want to coach.
Right.
Right? I've never had
Yeah.
anybody ask that. I think it's because there's this whole thing, oh, you have a website, you're a professional, you have these certifications, you're a coach. But they
Right.
never ask me that. And I think that that's a really important question because it speaks to the heart of the matter as to
Mhm.
why I want to connect with them. So I would love it if somebody asked me that question.
So why do you want to coach?
Because I want to coach women in midlife because I'm a woman in midlife.
Mhm.
And I want to coach women in midlife to help them kick butt. I want
Okay.
them to get out of the spiral that they're in, find the clarity, find the freedom to really move forward. We're living longer.
Right.
We're living like I've got another 40 or 50 years. I'm telling you that
Right.
right now.
Yeah. God
And,
willing,
and
really. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So how can I mean it's so thrilling to see women come kind of like full circle and
Mm.
figure out what no longer works for them, that they can ditch that in the past
Right.
and then move powerfully forward. It's a beautiful thing,
What's
breathtaking.
what's the number one challenge? Like if you had to tally everything up, right? That you see women in, we'll just say 38 to 65 or whatever. Okay. But like, what do you see their biggest challenges is? If you had to say, put a marble in each jar for different challenges, which jar is the fullest? Which challenge are you seeing the most?
Okay, so 38 is a little bit different. 38 to 40s is a little bit different.
Sure.
But if you go a little bit past that into the sweet spot where I'm in, I'd say ageism is the biggest thing.
Okay.
Women really bump up against this thing called ageism, and it stops you cold. It stops you. Like it's one of those things where you think to yourself, wait a minute, and you keep going along. This is what I find is that this is what I found with myself in particular too, is that you keep going on with life and you're excited and you want to keep contributing and you want to keep doing these things. And then suddenly you're not getting the callbacks for interviews.
Right.
Suddenly or even if you get the interview, people are like, how old are you?
Right.
kind of thing, right? And that ageism is just a real block. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't identify with my number. I am not that number. I am
Right.
me. I have all this
Yes.
education. I have all of this experience. I have all of this that I can offer this company.
Right.
Why are they not calling me back? Why don't they want to? Right. And so that is one thing that happens, I would say, to the majority of women that I've worked with that come to me is ageism is a huge thing.
With that being
And
said, are you seeing a lot of the people you coach and Randy kind of like maybe help guide them to setting up their own businesses? Are you seeing a little bit of
yes,
that?
yeah, because that's one thing that a lot of women in midlife do. They're not ready to kind of like close the door and say, I'm opting out just because companies don't want me anymore.
Right.
They're like, no, I want to live the way that I want to live and I'm going to push forward. And so some women, not all women, but some women want to explore entrepreneurial ventures and they want to
Gotcha.
create their own thing. And a lot of women will start looking towards that,
Yeah.
especially if they're mid to late 50s into their 60s. That's just an amazing time. And a lot of women do become entrepreneurs at that time.
Are you finding even like a plethora? It's my new word. Like a plethora of women that are married still coming to you, or a lot of more of
Uh,
yours single?
no, it's hard. A lot of them are coming from messy
Gotcha. Okay. No,
separations,
thank you for
terrible
sharing that.
divorces. Yeah, like
Okay.
that seems to be happening in midlife. And you get women in midlife who are in this sandwich. So I'm a sandwich woman. I'm a sandwich
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah.
I have teenagers. So I've got two teenagers and
Sure.
I've got a mom who's 90. So, and there's a lot of women, right,
Yeah.
that are in this place. So a mother that's 90 and teenagers, and I'm married, there's a lot of stuff going on there. Plus, I've gone through menopause. So then you've got like perimenopause, menopause, you've got all these different things, biological things that are happening. It's an intense time
Yeah.
for women.
Yeah.
And a
Susan's
lot of
going through it
people,
now. You know,
yeah,
my
and a lot of
Susan is,
people
yeah.
don't, yeah, and a lot of people don't talk about it. So actually one of the books that I was going to recommend for men, because I think that men really could do a lot more sort of, well, actually, I think that as a society and a culture, we should be teaching, this is my personal opinion, but I think we should be teaching about perimenopause and menopause to children in elementary school. I think we should start right from the beginning when we start talking about sex education. That's
Mhm.
extremely important, but so is the change of life
Sure.
because young girls get to that age and they're like, why am I getting hot flashes? Why am I feeling
Right.
this way? What the heck is going on? Because nobody's talked about it.
Right.
And I
What
think that
book is
there's a
it for men?
huge, oh, okay. Second, I've got two of them. So there's one called The Man's Guide to Menopause.
Okay.
Everything you need to know, but we're afraid to ask.
Okay.
And that's written by Nikki Woods.
Okay.
So it's a really good, a lot of people look at it as kind of like a trusted companion for men
Sure.
to sort of help themselves.
Sure.
And the other one is called Men, Let's Talk About Menopause,
Okay.
What's Going On and What You Can Do About It. And that's written by Ruth Devlin. And
Okay.
it's kind of more sort of funny. It's sort of more on the kind of the lighter side. Yeah.
Very cool. No, I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing them because being 52, a lot of my friends, some of the discussions we have is like waking up in a pool of sweat next to your wife. I mean, it's
Yes. Yeah.
like, well, it's me. Don't care. I mean, I think it's kind of hot, but I would say it's kind of like whatever.
Literally, it's hot.
Yeah, metaphorically and literally. But
yeah.
no, so Randy, where does your confidence come from? Because you are a very confident woman, okay, and then, which is awesome, but you're not cocky confident. Like there's not this like imposter syndrome shit that's out there that's behind your voice, behind your mannerisms. It's impressive. Like, where does that come from?
I don't know. I've never been asked that question before. I don't know. I sometimes just think that it's just who I am. It's who I was born. I've
Mhm.
never been really anything else but that.
Mhm.
A part of it might be my dad. My dad passed away 10 years ago, but
Mm.
my dad was always my biggest fan. And he always said, Rani, you can do anything you want if you put your mind to it.
Yeah.
Anything. You can do
Yeah.
anything you want. Don't ever give up on your dreams and try it. And so I think that was from a very young age. He would always say that to me. You can do anything you want. And so I always believed that. And so it never stopped me. I've always done whatever I wanted. If I wanted to start a flower shop,
Sure.
I started a flower shop. If
Right.
I wanted to do the whatever, I just did it.
Love it.
And it's about putting also risk in its place. So from an entrepreneurial perspective, I think that, and maybe for women, because women can be a little bit, not all women, but some women can be more risk sort of adverse.
Sure.
I think that there's way to start up entrepreneurial ventures with little risk.
Sure.
You can actually do it without it. And I did that with my flower shop. So yeah, anyways, yeah. So I don't know, the confidence thing, I have to mull that over a little bit more
No, I mean,
because
you don't
I've
even
never
have
been
to.
asked that
It
question.
just seems natural because again, in my work and the women, some of the women that I work with, even it's all a facade. It's like, and I know
Mm,
it. And as being their coach, I just ask three questions that I always have, and I know that it's a facade. I can get right down
mm,
to it. But like with you, it's just like it just seems that it comes across. It's a great trait for coaching,
mm. Thank you.
100%.
Yeah.
Because people are like they'll lean into that, be like, okay, no, she
Mm,
is actually authentic. She's not just
mhm.
out here preaching, which is great. So, Ronnie, have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yes, many
Okay,
times.
right. So let's go back. Let's get that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back to the Double
Okay.
Deuce, the 22
Okay.
year old Randy. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of knowledge nuggets would you drop on her? Not so much to change anything, but to maybe help her shorten a learning curve, blast through or level up, maybe just a little bit quicker.
Wow. 22-year-old me, I was graduating from the University of British Columbia, and I got a grant to go run a placer gold mining museum
Okay.
in Wells, BC, which had a population of 90 people.
Okay.
So it was a fascinating summer of living with tree planters in a house called the Tomato House that had no electricity and no plumbing.
Okay.
So what I would say to 22-year-old me is, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing.
Love
Like
it.
just keep doing what you're doing because you are doing something that the majority of people that would never have done. They would never
Never
have
do.
moved to a community of 90 people to run
Yeah.
a dirty gold mining
Right.
museum in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Love
So
it.
that's what I would say is just keep doing what you're doing.
That's beautiful. You can't get
Yeah.
much better than that. It's very neutral. It's not like,
Mm.
oh, let's look in the past and say this sucks and didn't work. Or and it's not like, oh my gosh, I got to go after this. It's like be present, do your thing, and watch things unfold. That's beautiful. So, how does Randy want her dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date. Hopefully, it's way down the line, your life date and death date. But how does Randy want her dash remembered?
So how do I want people to think of me?
No, how do you want to be remembered by people?
Well, the flippant comment would be the birthmark.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, because that's been something that's identified with me my whole life.
Sure.
Everybody's always said that. But I think just happy,
Yeah.
sunshine. I don't know, just she lived life. She lived
Yeah.
life to the fullest.
Knowing you
Yeah.
as little as I have, and blessed to get to know you, but it's like you just seem like someone that's kind of like has some bumps and bruise, but slid across home plate anyways. You still made the journey. You still got it done. You took risks, and that's what people see, and that you really pour into
Mm.
people. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Not that means
Mm.
anything, but it's my 2 cents, right? So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah. So what do you think people misunderstand the most about Randy?
Well, so I think that there's a face that we show the world, and then there's a face that we don't show the world.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the face that I show the world is the happy, outgoing,
Sure.
bubbly,
Right.
that kind of face,
Right.
easygoing.
Right.
The face that I don't necessarily show the world is my more kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, but like I like astrophysics. I'm a
Okay.
nerd.
You're a
I
nerd.
like science. I like, right? Like, and there's like a whole bunch of, I know lots
Yeah.
of stuff that I don't talk
Right.
about. And I'm just quiet about that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
I'm a voracious reader. So like I have like a massive library that I read. I'm reading all the time. And that stuff I don't really talk about that. I mean,
Okay.
unless somebody starts asking me questions about something,
Right.
then I might kind of bring it up.
Okay.
But yeah, and I've had lots of crazy stories that I don't really talk about either. Like
Hmm.
I read books to killer whales once. I worked at the Vancouver Aquarium. Like I had a snake and a whatchamacallit, a boa constrictor as a pet. I've had a
Hmm.
tarantula climb up. There's things that about me that I don't know, I just don't talk about because I don't know why.
Are you an introvert that people think is an extrovert?
Ah, yes, I am.
Me too. That's why
What
we're
do they call
coaches.
that? Yeah, the omnivert. Is that what it's
I
called?
guess I
Omnivert.
just,
I don't
yeah, I
know.
mean, because people see me and they're like, oh, Fergie, man, right, right. Because I'm on stage, I'm super high energy. I start every speech with a trampoline on stage. I'm like that guy, right?
Wow.
But I also
Wow.
will go and, well, there's a little hack to that. So if you those little round trampolines, so I'm a
Yeah, the
big,
rebounder. Yeah.
right, a big
Yeah.
rebounding because so I tell them like the whole 2 minutes that I'm out there, first 2 minutes, I'm on the rebounder and I'm talking about the benefits of rebounding,
Love it.
right?
Yeah.
And it cleans out your lymph system and blah blah blah. And then, but if you're in the audience and I'm on a rebounder, what are you doing with your head unconsciously? So you're already affirming everything I'm going to talk about when I'm speaking. So one, I get the jitters out, right? But I'm also
Yeah.
everybody's ready to affirm, they're ready to get after it with me.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I'll do the obligatory shake hands, maybe go to the bar in the hotel, have a drink, but then I go back to my room and I'll get in. Always have 5 books going at a time, and they all have different parts
Yeah.
of my mindset in life.
Yeah, me too. I
And
always have more than one
right.
book on the go.
But
Always.
people
Yeah.
they will think, man, Fergie, you're next. I'm like, no, not, dude. I'll be the go
Mm,
dude at Starbucks sitting by myself with my Kindle in front of me,
yeah.
just pouring into myself, and I enjoy it. I've been to fine dining. I'll go to Capitol Grill in, say, Atlanta if I'm speaking there by myself, and I don't
Yeah.
care. It's just
I
me.
love being by myself.
You are my
Yeah.
sister from another mister, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
This is awesome.
I love being alone. I the only way that I can recharge is being alone. And I'm lucky to have a husband of my partner who totally gets that about me.
Yeah,
He's very different than me,
yeah.
but he totally supports that
He
about me.
gets
He
it.
knows like I will, yeah, he gets it. I'm like, actually we have a place in Washington, and I said to him this morning just before we got on here, I said, "Hey, I got to go for a week. I got to go by myself. I'll take our dog and I'm
Mhm.
going to our place. It's called Black Mountain Ranch." I said, "I'm going to go down there." And I go down there for a week, 2 weeks,
Okay.
and I'm by myself. I read, I
That's
write, I
awesome.
work, I do take my calls. I have my dog, I
Yeah,
hike, swim, whatever. But yeah, I can't, I have to, in order to do this,
yeah,
I need to
me
recharge
too.
and I need to be alone in the
Alone.
silence,
Yes.
alone.
I
Yeah,
love it.
alone. I don't like people around me then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Randy,
Uh,
what is your definition of a life well lived?
a life well lived is a life of no regrets. I don't have any regrets. I know
Love
that
it.
sounds, maybe that sounds cliche. I'm not really sure, but
Oh,
I don't have any regrets. Like I've tried the stuff that I wanted to try,
yeah,
and if I have that feeling in my gut that if I want to try something and my gut goes like intuition, right? That's something that we probably need to tap into more. But if my gut goes, "Hey, no,"
slow your
then
roll.
I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, okay, I don't need to do that. I don't need to cliff dive anymore. I used to
Right.
cliff dive. But
Nice.
I don't need
Yeah.
to cliff dive anymore.
Yeah.
My kids are going bungee jumping. It's like, Dad, do I need to bungee jump anymore? No, I
Yeah,
don't think
probably
so.
not.
Probably not.
I love it. I love it. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. We are back, and Randy, we will meet up one time if I'm ever in Vancouver, you're ever stateside, whatnot, and go over some of these questions. Probably spend 10, 15 minutes on each one of them. But today you have 5 seconds with no explanations, and I promise you they can all be answered that way. You ready to level up?
Oh shoot. Okay, yeah, let's go.
All right, here we go. Randy, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Best leveling up advice that I ever received was from my dad, which we had mentioned before, which is you can do anything you put your mind to, just go for it.
Love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
I would say that at the end of every day, I make a list of the top 1 to 3 items that I need to complete the next day. So I have like scrap pieces of paper. I write the top 3 things down,
Very
and I'm
cool.
like totally old school.
Very cool.
Or a post-it note, and then the next morning when I come into my
You get
desk,
ready
I
for the
nail
next
those
day.
things off. Yeah, I get those three
Rock and
things
roll.
done, and then I will create another list. And at the end of the day, I'll put it together. And
Perfect.
yeah,
5
yeah.
seconds, Randy. Let's keep them short. Ready?
Sorry, man.
Okay. you see me walk down the street or you see me on the networking event, they're like, Fergie looks like he's in doldrums a little bit. What book really helps with your mindset?
Jen Sincero's Be a Badass.
I just spoke with her a couple weeks ago. I'll
Did
text
you
you some
really?
pictures. Yeah,
Oh
it
my
was
God,
awesome.
I'd love to meet her.
So
Yeah.
your most commonly used emoji when you text?
Oh, that's so cheesy. The heart or the
It's all
sun.
good.
The heart
Nicknames
or the
growing up.
sun.
Nicknames growing
I
up.
have a birthmark on my face, so it was John Boy Walton or the guinea pig
Oh my gosh, I
because my
love it.
last name's MacInnes. Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Any hidden talent or superpowers that you have that nobody really knows about? Well, until now.
I'm a highly sensitive, intuitive person. Probably, I've never really said this out loud, but probably a little bit like on an empath side.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Helps with the
I would
coaching
probably
for
say.
sure.
Yeah.
Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Monopoly.
Me too. Awesome. Headline for your life.
Live in the sunshine.
That's awesome. Any superstitions?
No.
Me neither. Me neither.
No.
Go to ice cream flavor.
Licorice.
Love it. Not really, but I love it.
I know nobody, but you can't find it anymore. It's so hard.
They just
And you
have to go
eat
get
it.
some. Just have to go get some sambuca and just chill it, and then
True. And you have to eat it. You have to eat it alone because your whole mouth gets black in your tongue and stuff.
Yeah.
It's so gross. You have to be in the room in the dark eating it.
I love it. I love it. There's a sandwich called the John Boy Walton McGuinea Pig. Build that sandwich for me. What's on it?
Okay. It's got no mayonnaise.
Okay.
But it's got, I hate mayonnaise. It's just disgusting. It's got, I would have to say it's like organic crunchy peanut, butter, salted butter, organic crunchy peanut butter, and bananas.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, we're besties for the rest of you for sure.
Yeah.
So you got a time machine and you could go 20 years into the future or any time in your past for just one day and come back to present day, past or present. Or
I'll go
or future.
past. I have a past day that I'd love to go back to.
Me too. There's a kegger in like 1989 we threw. It would be awesome.
Yeah, I can't talk about those.
Favorite charity and or organization you like to give your time or money to?
Anything related to animal rescue.
Beautiful. Thank you for saying that. Last question. We can elaborate on this one a little bit, but what is the best decade in music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
I love the 70s.
Me too.
I love
why
disco.
We love the 70s? Well, disco is fun, but there's lyrics and storytelling. And as coaches, we get into that a lot, right?
Yeah.
And it's like
I'm all about the lyrics. Oh my God, I
man.
can't believe you said that because Ron, my partner, he's not a lyrics guy.
Really?
So
Okay.
I mean, I like the melody and the lyrics, but it's like the lyrics, it's the story, and I just get lost.
I can just listen to Croce all day, just the stories that being told. The Eagles. The Eagles. You know, I mean, it's even go north of the border to Gordon Lightfoot. I'm saying it's like, it's like legit. So how can we find you, my friend?
You can find me in a bunch of different places. So my website, which is livearebellife.com. You can find me on LinkedIn.
That's an awesome URL, by the way.
Livearebellife.com.
Yes.
That's isn't it sweet?
That is awesome. Like legit.
It's pretty sweet.
Was it just there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just there. I mean, I bought it back in 2017 or something like that, right?
Still, that's pretty awesome, Rani. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. You can find me, so Live a Rebel Life. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook, which is just Rani MacInnes. Instagram, it's Live a Rebel Life _ I can send you all these things. And
they'll all be in the show notes, love.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So those are things. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, like, you do have a 12-week Rebel transformation program, correct?
I do. Yes, I do. So that's the Rebel Transformation Program so I work with women in midlife on everything career and life. Okay. Right. So you can't really separate the two because they kind of go together. Okay. So the Rebel Transformation is a little bit more tactical in that it is more career based. So this is it's a career program. It's like it's starting right from the beginning. Where's your energy at? what's your energy vampires, and then moving straight through into a whole bunch of different things like what are your personal values, what are your career values, that kind of stuff, until we
Okay.
get to more of a tactical place of setting goals and doing all of that kind of stuff with a plan. In between, of course, we talk and address about things like your things that you're stuck on, your clarity, the things that are muddying you up that maybe you don't know that you want to actually change your job, or you're fearful about changing your job. So all of that stuff is in between. So that's the 12-week program. Yeah.
Is that a one-on-one? Because I know you also have a group coach program as well. Is the Rebel, there's a transformation one-on-one, love?
It is. Yeah. It's
Okay, cool.
one-on-one. I love one-on-one. Yeah.
And you're
Love
rolling
it.
out a group program coming up, right?
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us a little
The
bit about
group,
what's going on.
yeah. So the group program will come out in the fall. I'm also working on a digital course that I'll also launch in the fall, and a podcast. So I want to
Yeah,
start
that was
launch
my
my
next
own
question
podcast.
there. This
Yeah. Yeah.
podcaster. So what's the name? Is it going to be Live a Rebel Life?
Probably, yeah, but I'm still trying to figure it out, because I really want to bring in that element of, so it's not going to be just about women and career. It's going to
Okay.
be about women, and it's going to be also about educating everybody about what women in midlife go through.
Okay.
So, and it's going to be about everything. It's going to be about sex. It's going to be about rock and roll. It's going to be about whatever you want to talk about.
Drugs,
Yeah.
man. No.
That's right. No.
No, I'll you
Flip
know what?
that out.
With I can make no promises, but I'll work with seeing what I can do for Cinzero to come on there. So it's not like she's a buddy of mine, but like we've spoke
Yeah.
a couple times. We were just in Doral, Florida, a couple weeks ago, and hung out and whatnot and stuff like that. But she is the most down to earth, chill chick ever.
Oh my God.
You know what I
Her book, like seriously, I don't know if you can
Yeah.
see this. I don't usually dog ear books,
No,
but I've
legit.
dog-eared her book, and
My-
I've given this away to
Yeah.
so many people.
Yeah,
So
I give
many
it to
people.
dudes, man. You know what
I
I'm saying?
know, I
It's a
love it.
great
She
book.
cracks me
'Cause she
up,
doesn't
like the
bash dudes in
stories.
it. She doesn't
No,
bash dudes.
no,
A guy
no.
can use it, and Sincero's just a badass, like legit badass. So
Yeah.
give me one last solid, Miss Rani, and leave us with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
I would say that if you are a woman in midlife, you just know that you are actually at the best juncture of your life, and to jump in with both feet. And if you're a man listening to this and you're in midlife, I'd say do whatever you can do to support every woman in your life, like whether that's your sister, your aunt, your mom, like whoever it may be, and learn about what issues and midlife stuff women have. Support those women.
I love it. And Scott, we just had a super fun conversation with my really good friend Rani, that she went through different acts of life, lots of travel, lots of experiences. She's an always on the go person, but like me, also has like the introvert side to her. We rejuvenate when we're alone. She wants you to like kind of really live large, break the rules, and not sit in a little box. And with her, a great coach, she's a coach that listens. She listens not only with her ears, but I can just see her listening with her eyes, like what I call listening with your neck, like really leaning into who she's talking to and just being there in that moment for the person. When she starts, if you're going to start working with a coach, if it's not Rani, ask the coach why they became a coach, like get their story. Okay. And if you're a woman out there with ageism and you're dealing with that, please, please, please let me make a warm introduction. I'm a good friend, Rani. She'll get you on the right track. She will help you tell your story to the world and lean into your ultimate potential. And if you're men out there, like pick up the Man's Guide to Menopause, and men, let's talk about menopause, because I literally what she's talking about, I ordered them on Amazon because it's something I need to read, right, Susan? I just want to be out there with that. Like Rani is somebody that is not someone that's cocky. She's very confident within herself, and it really pours into the women which she coaches. I mean, Rani's out there planting trees she's never going to sit in the shade of, because she does things for the intention, not the attention. She's not out there, look at me, look at me. She's out there doing the work and really pouring into the women. And if you're a woman in your midlife, know that you're at the best juncture of your life, period. And if you're a man out there, please support these women. Again, give of your time, give her your resources, give her your energy, help them. We're all in this together. And my good friend Rani, she's a go-to person for those ladies in that midlife. And Rani, thank you so much. You level up your health, you level up your wealth. You're absolutely stunning, awesome energy. You've earned your varsity letter here at Time to Shine today. Thank you so much for coming on, love.
Thank you. Awesome.
Chat soon. Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine today, proudly brought to you by Inlet Properties and Investments. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on the Time to Shine Today podcast, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you'd like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there you will see our recommended resources. We hope you will help support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have been listening to, it'd be great if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's your time to shine.